Okie dokie. So we've all got this right hand file. Okay. Now go ahead in Maya, open up your... So remember, our character in here references the rig, right? So if you go to File, Reference Editor, you can see... Anybody tell me what file this references? Anybody? Mutant rig. You got it right there. So I can turn it off and turn it back on. File Reference Editor. So this references our mutant rig. So what we want to do is we want to put that Brekel hand file in our mutant rig, and it'll show up here in the animation. But we need to do some edits to that file real quick to make sure it works. So we're looking at right now a timeline of 0 to 111. So go ahead and make a new scene, and I'll just make a note of that. What I want to do is make a new scene and then go to File, Import that right hand into a blank new scene. And then go ahead and set your... Nope, I imported it into a new scene. I went File, New Scene, and imported the right hand in. File, New Scene, Import, not Reference. Zoom out. Zoom out. And, yeah, you got to play on the timeline. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. So we have 111 frames, basically, that we need of this doing stuff. And what we're going to do is we're going to attach this hand to our dude's hand so the animation actually plays, okay? And the best way to do that is when that's in kind of a normal hand type position. And we have tons of animation here, and I'm going to show you guys how to use a really neat trick with Maya when you're dealing with a lot of animation. If you go to the Window Animation Editor's dope sheet, this is a super efficient tool for animation. Windows Animation Editor's dope sheet. And if you select the hand, just select the hand, alright? And what we want to do is we want to set our time slider to 0, and then the last frame we want to be 111 to match our idle. Okay? So first frame is 0, last frame is 111. Okay? First frame set 0, last frame 111. Alright, so a couple things here. So as you start off, you can see that the hand kind of like is way off to the side. What we want to do is fix up this animation to where it's ready to be kind of attached to our guy. And what we need to do is move the keyframes here so that it starts, frame 0 kind of starts in a normal type pose. And when I slide along here, to be honest with you, it kind of looks like right around maybe frame 30 is where we have kind of a normal type pose. Okay? So if you drag a box over those keyframes, what we want to do is we want to basically slide frame 30 to frame 0, but we need to make sure we're selecting all the keyframes. So just drag a box over the hand and then go to Edit, select Hierarchy. And what that's going to do is select all the hierarchy, all the bones in the hand, so we see all the animation. And you'll see all the bones on the left, and you'll see all the animation tracks for those. And then you'll see the dope sheet summary at the top. Okay? So what we can do is let's go ahead and zoom in. If you use your Alt right mouse button, you can zoom in and out. And then you use your middle mouse button to slide left and right by holding Alt. So hold Alt, and you can use your right mouse button to zoom in and out. And if you hold Alt, you can use your middle mouse button to slide left and right. And you select your hand and you go Edit, Select Hierarchy. And that's going to show you all the fingers in there, okay? And what I want you to do, move your time frame slider onto frame 30, and you can blow up the dope sheet full frame. And then I want you to, if you select the top track 0 through 30 here, okay, it's going to select all the keyframes. See that? So there's the dope sheet summary at the top. So if you just drag a box over the 0 through 30 here, it's going to select all those keyframes. So once you select them, go ahead and hit delete on your keyboard to delete them. Okay? Go ahead and drag a box over them, and then hit delete on your keyboard to delete them, and then they're gone. Okay? And now what we're going to do is we're going to move our time slider back to frame 0 and zoom out. You can use the mouse wheel to zoom out, and we're going to grab all these upper level frames and move those to frame 0. Move the starting frame to frame 0. And you can do that by hitting W and using the middle mouse button to slide them. Okay? If you select them, then hit W, you can use the middle mouse button to slide them. So you just go back and you just on your timeline.
Okay, I thought there was a way to do it.
Yeah, so it'll.
Why didn't we just do all that in the timeline?
You could have done that in the timeline, but the dope sheet is like it's more efficient. It like allows you to grab like the summary, which is basically all of these, rather quickly. If I was to grab all the stuff in the timeline, I feel like it would move a lot slower. Okay, so now drag your time slider to 111 and delete everything after 111, just like we deleted stuff 0 through 30. Hit W on your keyboard and then middle mouse drag.
Oh, middle mouse.
Middle mouse drag. So all we've done is we moved our time slider to frame 30 and then deleted everything before that. Then we moved it back to frame 0 and moved all the frames to frame 0 starting. Then we dragged our time slider to frame 111 and deleted everything up to 111. Everybody with me so far? Or did I blaze past you guys? Who's not with me so far? Who needs help? Everybody's good? Alright. So now if I minimize the dope sheet and I look at what I've got here, on frame 0 now, it starts at a pretty straight hand position. Okay, and then it plays, and then it ends in a normal hand position here too. Okay? What we want to do is make sure that this animation loops, okay? Because right now if you hit play, it's gonna, when it hits the end, it's gonna pop, okay? Since we're doing a looping idle animation, we want to make sure that this loops. So there's a really easy way to make sure that this loops. If you select the hand and select the hierarchy, edit, select hierarchy, we can actually, since there's 111 frames, I want you to go ahead and go back to the dope sheet and delete everything to from 105 or 106 on. So Window, Animation, Editors, Dope Sheet. And you can move your slider to 106. And we'll just delete all those frames. So your thing should be from 0 to 105. So you should have no frames from 106 to 111. Everybody got that? So now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a trick in Maya to make the first frame the last frame. It's very easy. If you move to frame 0, okay, move to frame 0. Now mouse over frame 111 and middle mouse click. And you'll notice when you middle mouse click, what it does is it moves the time slider there, but it doesn't change the position of your hand. Okay? So now if you hit S on your keyboard, it's going to set a keyframe for all the hand on frame 111. That's the exact same keyframe as 0. So if you click on 0, left click on 0, and left click on 110, they should be exactly the same frame. So now when you hit play, it should loop. And it's not a perfect loop. There's some stuff you can do to go back in there and make it a little bit smoother, but at least we don't see a crazy pop. Okay, so it's good enough for these purposes. So let's go ahead and save this file. So we are going to save this file, save scene as, and let's call it, save it in your folder, and we're going to call this right hand, and hit save. Right hand. And then go ahead and open up your Mutant rig. And I want you to reference in that file. So go to File, Create Reference, and reference in righthand.mb. Not the FBX, but the righthand.mb. Alright, so now what we have to do is we've got our animation in there, and we're going to go ahead and we need to constrain the hand to our guy here. Okay, so go ahead and click on the hand and then click up a few times on your keyboard, up arrow. And what that's going to do is that's going to select the top level of the joint chain, and I'll show you what that does. So if I come in here, here's my hand rig, right? So if I just select the hand, it's going to select something down here. See that? It's not getting the top level. If I hit up on my keyboard, it selects the top level. Okay, so that's a visual way I can show you how that works. So if you select your hand, hit up, then you can hit W on your keyboard and go ahead and move this hand up and over his right hand. So what we want to do is move and rotate this to kind of best match his hand here. And we're just going to lay it over the top of his hand. It doesn't have to be perfect. You kind of want to match his wrist placement here. Alright, and so what we want to do is make sure that when we animate this guy, his arm, this new hand here is going to always follow what his arm is doing. Okay, so for example, if I grab my controls here and I rotate my controls, it's going to rotate that arm too. Okay, so that way when we lock these, we're going to basically lock these together, but we want them moving around. And on this character, he has some bones, and what we're going to do is we're going to constrain bones to bones. Okay, so you can turn off the control layer, and we want to turn on the bind joint layer and make it selectable. Okay, and you can make the mesh layer unselectable by turning it on R. And basically what we want to do is constrain the top level of the this right hand animation to the bind joint forearm here. Okay, so go ahead and open up the hypergraph hierarchy. So go to Window, Hypergraph Hierarchy. Window, Hypergraph Hierarchy, and zoom on over to the top of the red stuff, and you'll see something called right hand reference. Okay, there's a bunch of other stuff in there that's not red, but what we want is the right hand reference. And the reason that text is red is because it's referenced in text. And what we're going to do is use a parent constrain with maintain offset on. And I'm going to go over exactly how to do that, so just hang on just a sec. Alright, so basically what you do is you select the forearm joint. So go ahead and just click it. Don't drag a box over it because it's got other joints underneath it. Make sure it says bind right forearm. Okay. Then shift select the other wrist. Or I'm sorry. Shift select the green thingy in your hypergraph hierarchy. And then go to constrain parent option box. Make sure maintain offset is on and hit add. I'll go over that one more time, okay? You want to click on the forearm, make sure it's selected, and it says bind right forearm. Then shift select the right hand reference, hold shift and click it. That will select both. Then go to Constrain Parent Option Box. Make sure Maintain Offset's turned on and hit Add. And now the way you can test if that works is if you turn on your control layer, select an arm control and rotate it. And now you can see that that mocap hand moves with our regular hand. Does anybody need me to go over those steps again?
What did you do in pair constraint options?
So in pair constraint options, make sure maintain offset is on and hit add.
And you said offset is off and
Add, yeah. I can go over those steps one more time if you need me to, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just went on one side.
You just what?
I picked the wrong.
Alright, well you can just undo back. But basically if you have your hypergraph hierarchy open, you click the forearm, make sure it says bind right forearm, hold shift and click right hand reference. That way they're both selected. We've shift selected them. Then constrain parent option box, make sure maintain offset is on and hit add. If you need help at this point, go ahead and ask somebody next to you. You guys need help? Oh.
Mine's doing something weird. The hand is like going like sideways whenever I constrain it.
It's going sideways.
Yeah, it's going sideways.
Undo. Try it again. Make sure maintain offset is on.
Oh, it's on?
On, yes.
Okay.
Alright. So now let's go through the process of attaching this hand here. You can actually turn off the mesh layer for this. And if it's easier, go to Window. We'll make the bones smaller. If you go to Window, or I'm sorry, Display Animation Joint Size, and you can make the bones a little bit smaller so they're easier to select. Maintain offset is on. Go to Display Animation Joint Size, and you can change the size of your joints here to make them easier to select. You probably want to make them a little smaller. Okay, so what we're going to do is attach basically the fingers to the fingers, and we're going to use something called the connection editor. So if you go to Window, General Editors, Connection Editor, Windows, General Editors, Connection Editor. So
How did you get to where it's just a skeleton?
you on the layers, turn off your mesh layer. Turn the V on your mesh layer.
Okay.
So the connection editor is a little tricky. I'll show you how it works. It's probably best if you just watch up here and watch me connect one bone, and then you guys can go through and connect them, okay? So I'm going to start with the wrist. The wrist and the thumb are a little different. So here's the wrist. So basically you load the one on the left that you want to connect and the one on the right that you want to connect to. And you can see from to over here. So I'll click the wrist, load, click the other wrist, load, okay. Then I'm gonna scroll down to rotate on both, and I will click rotate on the one I want to connect, and then click rotate on the one I want to connect to. Okay. So now they're connected. So it's that. So now when that one moves, that one moves. Okay. So now I'll go through the process here. Then I have to select another thumb joint, load left, select the one I want to connect to, load right, rotate, rotate. All right. Load left, load left, load right, rotate, rotate.
Can you just do that for every single joint?
Load left, load right, rotate, rotate. Yes, every single one. And then you'll just go through each hand or each finger. Kind of sucks, but you only need to set it up one time. Once it's set up, you don't have to do it anymore. Guys, I screwed us up here. So instead of connecting these to the joint, we needed these to go to the controls. I'm retarded. So, what's the best way to do this? You have to disconnect them. Oh boy. If you just click on each one and uncheck rotate from it. Yep. Where do you see that? You have to load it, that's the problem. Damn it. Oh, can you do that? Can you do clear all? It worked?
I don't have anything loading up.
No, it doesn't do it. Yeah, you actually have to disconnect it. Say what?
Did he do anything big? Like just reload the level? Rereference.
guess you could do that.
That might be quicker. That we don't have to.
Yeah, if you guys want to just load the guy back up and reference in the hand and move the hand back over and constrain it, that may be faster. So open mutant rig, reference in the hand. And instead of connecting it from joint to joint, you connect it from joint to the finger controls. See these finger controls? And the wrist control. Because the controls drive the joints. I forgot about that. It's my bad. So if you just want to reconnect it. Everybody makes mistakes. Most especially me.
So it's joint to controls instead?
Joint to controls, yeah, not joint to joint. Sorry about that, I didn't. Just brain dead right now. It was looking really weird when I did it, and I was wondering why it was looking weird.
We do it in the
What's that? Yeah, you select the wrist and shift select the hand. Constrain. So if you guys want to watch me do it here, I can show you. But basically, you click the wrist, load left, click the wrist control, not the joint, load right, rotate, rotate. Now as you can see, it works a lot better. Thumb joint, load left, thumb control, load right, rotate, rotate.
When game's not showing up on the hypergraph hierarchy?
You can click the hand and then hit F in the hypergraph hierarchy, and it should zoom to it.
Okay.
Why is it still not letting me rotate?
Say what?
When I try to after I rotate on it,
Because you
I can't go back and rotate.
What do you mean you can't go back and rotate? You're not supposed to be able to do that.
No? Okay.
No, the hand, that mocap now drives that controller. That's why, you know. Did I lose you?
No, it's just like I don't have a mutant idle. file. I don't know why it got all weird.
I put them on there.
I know. I was wondering if you could re-put that just the Mutant file, because it like when I opened it, it like opened weird.
How did you open it?
Just imported it through Maya. Like I just opened it.
Doing that when you were doing it?
No, but it, like when I re-imported it, or reopened it, like on the hand was like all the way down with the floor, and I don't know, it's really weird.
Did you open it in the idle? Well, that's why, because in the reference rig, other rig, you probably were already scanning it, and so when you opened the
Ira, do you want to show her?
yeah.
Next time, are you gonna have the files for next class, probably?
Say what?
Never mind.
So you can double check your fingers by like clicking on them, and as you click on them, they'll turn pink. See, as I click on them, see how they turn pink like that? That'll let me know that I've got the right ones connected. And when you guys are finished, you can turn back on your mesh and you can see the result by hitting play. What's cool about this is you get a really natural kind of look. And then when you're finished, you save this scene, and you can open your idle, and everything should just pop right in. Well, it should. Oh. When you load your idle, you've got to open the reference editor and turn on the right hand